Freddie Freeman goes on the injured list. A sixth UCLA basketball player splits town. And speaking of the Bruins, Joey Aguilar has stepped in to quarterback the first team for spring practice. Good morning. I'm James. This is your daily dose of sports and snark for the greatest sports city in the world, Los Angeles. This is the faithful Angelenos Morning Report. It is April 4th, 2025. I will be boarding my plane home in a little bit. It is super early on Friday morning. By the time you see the clip, it's going to be wheels up for me. So if you'd like being in the know about LA sports, clickety-clack the like button. Clickety-clack the subscribe button. There's a notification bell. Hit that. It'll let you know when we drop new content. Sharing is caring. Let people know we exist. By all means, comment. Now, before we go through the news and notes, a quick look at the scoreboard. Golden State, they dropped the Lakers 123 to 116. The Kings knock out Utah 4-2. And Villanova ends USC's basketball season again 60 to 59 in some goofy little tournament over in Las Vegas. Meanwhile, today, the Dodgers are at Philadelphia. First pitch at 3:45. New Orleans is at the Lakers at 7:30, and Dallas is at the Clippers, also at 7:30. And what do you say we get to the news? So any of you guys think when Freddie Freeman slipped in the shower, it wasn't just going to be a day-to-day injury with his surgically repaired ankle? Well, you would be right. It's not. The Dodgers placed Freeman on the 10-day injured list. It's retroactive to Monday. Will it matter a lot? I don't know. Maybe the Dodgers will lose their first game or something. All I can say is x-rays didn't indicate a particularly massive problem, so maybe he's back in a little more than a week. Also with the Dodgers, if you read a lot about their pitching during the offseason and spring training, you were led to believe that it was only going to be a matter of time before LA went with a six-man rotation. I mean, that's what the scribes and the analysts were saying. They had no sources. They just made a prediction. But in their defense, the guess made sense. I mean, the Dodgers have about 5,000 pitchers to choose from. And by the way, this whole idea of a six-man rotation, it's not limited to just LA. They're not the only team that might take this leap. Boston, St. Louis, the Mets, all three of them have acknowledged that they have made plans, contingency plans about a six-man roto. And yet, nobody's taken the plunge. If you're wondering why people are making these predictions and yet it hasn't happened yet, there are actually quite a few reasons. One, the micromanagers running the commissioner's office have limited major league rosters to just 13 pitchers. Because if you did go to a six-man rotation, then at least one starter is going to have to eat more innings because front offices would be very hesitant to have fewer than 8 relievers. So it's a conundrum. Here's a second reason. Does your team have an ace pitcher? Does it? Well, the Dodgers actually have more than one. So you go to a six-man roto. Do you really want to take away starts from Blake Snell? Do you? Do you want to take starts away from Tyler Glasnow? Because that's exactly what happens when you go to a six-man roto. You push the start further down the road. And finally, a third big reason, there's no assurance that a six-man rotation is a panacea to keep pitchers healthy. There's no cause and effect relationship established that fewer starts means fewer trips to the hospital. You would think it would, but there's no study to back it up. Now, it's not that the Dodgers have closed the door entirely on a six-man rotation. Pitching coach Mark Pryor told The Athletic, quote, "I think it's doable. The biggest issue is, do you have the depth to be able to do that?" Unquote. Now, obviously the Dodgers do, but they don't have any data that would necessitate such a move. And as a result, we've already established from years past that the Dodgers go through more starting pitchers than Leo DiCaprio goes through college chicks. It's a thing. So what do you do with all the surplus starters? Well, with Ben Kasparius, he moved to the bullpen. He wanted to make the team. And so far, no regrets. In Wednesday's game, a victory against the Braves, he entered with the Dodgers down by 2, which meant he played a vital role in putting his team in a position to make that game-clinching rally. He pitched 2 shutout innings. Said Kasparius, quote, "As a reliever, I feel you have to get really used to being uncomfortable. Honestly, it was a blessing for me that it happened in my debut, going through the playoffs and the pinnacle of our sport, because now it's something where I feel very comfortable doing it," unquote. So obviously we got a lot of Dodger notes to talk about. Meanwhile, over in Westwood, a 6th UCLA basketball player has entered the transfer portal. It's guard Dominic Harris. Now, Harris was only in Westwood for a year. He was a sharpshooter over at Loyola Marymount. He thought he would up his game, but he never cracked the rotation with the Bruins. So, like we were talking about in yesterday's clip, I think it's fair to look at UCLA basketball the same way we look at USC football. It's not the number of players leaving the program that's the problem. It's the quality of the players who did leave. You have a roster of 15 basketball players and 6 of them go. It sounds like a catastrophe. But not necessarily, guys. Not necessarily. Sure, you would like to have a center. Adeyemara leaving is a problem. But overall, you take a step back, and here's what I see. I see that Mick Cronin has established a pattern of building teams mostly through the transfer portal. He said it. He's not really putting a whole lot of emphasis on high school recruiting. And it's been that way for the last couple of years. If you remember, when Cronin came to UCLA, he had a team ready-made for him to coach, and he ran with it. That team was put together by people before him. Now he's looking at the NIL landscape. Players are coming in, they're coming out. It's totally at will. And it wouldn't surprise me if Cronin is saying to himself, why should I kill myself at getting someone to commit to me for long term? Maybe he's not really surprised about these players leaving. And so I'm guessing because he made this strategic move for roster building, in other words, doing it on the fly year by year, he's also recognizing that there is a cost. And the cost is that there's going to be a number of players who are going to come to UCLA because of the rep. They're not going to be happy, and then they're just going to split. That is where UCLA basketball is right now. And speaking of players who split, former Bruins guard Dylan Andrews has a new home in Boise, Idaho, where the NIL Collective will pay him his weight in potatoes. Boise State has landed the former starter, and to be honest with you, I think it's a terrific pickup for the Broncos. And since we've already established that UCLA has upgraded guard with Donovan Dent, it's basically a win for everyone involved. And as a side note, congratulations to Idaho for finally adding yet another black person to the population of the state. Have you been to Idaho? They're pastier white than I am, for Pete's sakes. Not that I'm exactly your source for all things race relations. Feel free to add a little bit more diversity. It's supposedly our strength in this country, right? Idaho, whitest state in the country. By the way, while we're talking about UCLA, over at spring football practice, Joey Aguilar is getting reps at quarterback with the first team. Deshaun Foster told the Scribes, quote, "Experienced quarterback, has played a lot of football. Just excited to see him take command of the team and just let's go, let's take it on. I think that'll happen once we start getting out here on the field. He was doing a good job when we were doing our walkthroughs and the player-led stuff. You know, now it's time to really play ball, unquote. Now look, if Aguilar does get a grasp on the offense, that's something nobody at UCLA could do under Eric Bieniemy last year. If you saw that offense, you know damn well what I'm talking about. The Bruins should be overjoyed if Aguilar can pick this up quick. UCLA was 84th in the nation last year in touchdown passes. And by the way, side note, I've been doing this program for over 4 years now. It is absolutely delightful to finally have regular UCLA athletics news. For years, Chip Kelly built this Berlin Wall surrounding the program. Couldn't get any news on the Bruins whatsoever. And now we get to talk about it. So it's a lovely change. An anonymous NFL executive thinks the Rams are secretly developing a bromance with Jimmy Garoppolo. Ooh, secretly. It's so hush-hush. Almost like a Nicholas Sparks novel for NFL, right? So this is what the exec said to The Athletic. Quote, "You don't mess around with your starting quarterback unless you are confident in the other guy," unquote. Now keep in mind, this is not a Rams executive saying it. We don't even know which team. Roll out a map with the NFL logos across it, throw a dart. That may as well just be the case. And of course, the reason that this became news is that they all tried to tie it into the Matthew Stafford silliness, but that's old news. I realize Stafford still hasn't signed his contract. That's probably because the numbers are a little bit in flux. Kind of like how LeBron James did with the Lakers when he was a free agent last summer. LeBron was probably like, look guys, I want X, but I'll give you guys a discount if you can add this player. And I'm assuming that's probably a little bit the same with the Rams and Stafford. So no, this isn't about drama. I'm looking at Stafford and Garoppolo as if to say I'm looking to the future. I'm not worried about Matthew Stafford. I'm looking to the draft. If the Rams truly have that much faith in Jimmy Garoppolo, which they may very well, maybe you don't go for the quarterback in the first round. If you've been following mock drafts, a number of them are suggesting the Rams will go for Jackson Dart if he's available. But maybe you don't. Maybe you eventually turn the keys over to Garoppolo, and if you're looking to draft a quarterback, you do one in the later rounds to replace third stringer Stetson Bennett. Just a thought. I've told you guys often that while I despise all things Slime Diego, the Chargers are no longer in Slime Diego. They're Angelenos. And it's okay to like the LA Chargers. I bring that up because I like Cameron Dicker. Why? Because he told TMZ that ever since he was a kid, people don't call him Cam, they call him Dick. And he just thinks that's hilarious. So he tells that to TMZ, and of course TMZ creates every penis pun that they can concoct. But yeah, it's hard to hate a dude who can laugh at himself. So Cameron Dicker, he doesn't mind if you call him Dick. And the Chargers have signed an Australian rugby player as a potential tight end, Jordan Pataya. Dude abandoned rugby and all those scorching hot Australian beach babes, took a football class over in Florida. I'm not kidding. He took a football class over in Florida, and now he thinks he's NFL ready. And he even has a contract to prove it. The dude's 25. He's described as agile and quick, which may very well be true. He's also injury prone, so even if he makes the team, he's going to be playing half the season on SoFi Stadium's artificial turf. So that's a really great idea, right? I mean, how many Rams and Chargers receivers have blasted out their knees and ankles on that thing? You'd be better off playing on concrete. But you let me know what you think in the comments thread. Talk to me, for example, about the Dodgers start and how Freddie Freeman's injury impacts it. And for that matter, 6 Bruins are off the team. You cool with that? If you enjoyed the content, don't forget to subscribe to Faithful Angelenos. We talk LA sports every single day here. Thank you for watching. I'm James. We'll be back tomorrow from the hometown. Look forward to it. Faithful Angelenos is a Kian Cortell Queso production. Take care.